So, hello, everybody. Hi, welcome. And this is my friend, Joanne. Hi,
Hello.
hi, Joanne. And I am Jennifer Rose, and we're here continuing that conversation that I started. Like, I started my little pet project with conversations with the Juicy Crone Nation, which is what we are. That's what we are. Why try to fight it?
Yep.
And I thought this was like a really good query. It's like a great question to ask women of our age and our generation. What would you
hmm
tell your 20-year-old self? Like, I think it's such a rich question, and there's so much wisdom, and there's so much ability to contemplate the question, answer the question, and then there's healing that happens for you and for other people who are listening. So,
Sure.
oh,
And you hope a 20-year-old listens.
of course we do. Or my 20-year-old self.
Yes, yes,
Let me just give a brief introduction. Joanne and I have known each other, from the yoga community and meditation community.
yes.
And then one of the best things that Joanne and I had a great experience is we led a book study in the artist's way.
Yep.
Was that last year that we did that?
Or earlier this year? Last year
Yeah,
to this year.
that's
It
right.
actually went 3 months.
It was awesome. Joanne led that book study for us. She uncovered talents that she didn't know she had
True.
as a book study leader, and I'm really looking forward to you doing that again. I don't know who you'll do it with, but it's like in my mind that you're going to lead another book study of the artist's way. But that's just my idea. So Joanna and I led that book study, and now we are both in our Course in Miracles group, which we're
Yes,
enjoying our friendship and continuing to grow together as friends and spiritually growing
absolutely.
as
Yes,
spiritual companions.
yes.
Yeah.
I would say.
Yeah. So that's who Joanne is for me. She's also a cat lover.
Absolutely. And
Eh,
they are nowhere to be found around here, so that's good. We can actually talk.
Okay, so when I asked you to be on with me about answering this question, what would you tell your 20-year-old self? Like, what came up for you? Lay it on us, lady.
What came up for me was 20 years old was a really hard time for me. And I was in college and was with a boyfriend, and we, for 2 years, and we were pinned, and we were, supposed to get married after school, and we broke up.
Uh-huh.
And then my roommate got pregnant and dropped out of school.
Mm.
So my whole social situation in college was just gone. And so I fell apart. And so, what I would really tell my 20-year-old self is to learn to find stillness in meditation and find yourself, because the outside world fell apart for me, but it didn't mean that I had to fall apart myself. I still had school, I still had other friends, but because I didn't know how to handle the loss, I I myself just didn't know how to cope. But I think that later on I found out that in meditation you can actually tap into the inner world that makes you believe that you're still okay. That even though everything else is falling apart outside, you can still be okay inside.
So it's like, even as you're describing it, like your whole world crumbled beneath you,
Mm-hmm.
but later on you learned that there was actually a foundation inside of you.
Yes. That
Yes.
when I was 20, I didn't know that there was a foundation. All I knew was, external.
Right. Right. So that's very interesting. I had very much the same experience with a boyfriend that I in college that I thought I was going to marry also.
Hmm.
And we broke up and it was the same thing. I just crumbled. I crumbled and went into a lot of depression and couldn't figure out how to get out of the depression or that I could even ask for help.
Yes.
Yeah. So, did you have any, so how did you start to meditate when you started to meditate? I know you're not 20 now, but like when you started to meditate, like what was your introduction
My
into meditation?
introduction was that I had become sick with fibromyalgia,
Mm-hmm.
couldn't work anymore, and was really looking for healing. And went to a yoga studio and started with a meditation teacher because I was so sick with the fibromyalgia that I couldn't really do yoga at all at the time. I couldn't do
Right.
downward dog. It took me 3 years to do downward dog. But
Mm.
yeah, so I started with a meditation teacher, and I remember going to meditation and the teacher telling me that it's about being happy. We're in this life to be happy. And I thought, no, we're not. We're in this life to work hard. And I heard myself say that. And I was like, yeah, that's what they have on top of the concentration camps, too. So I don't think this life is supposed to be only about working hard.
Interesting.
Yeah. So that's what, but that was much farther away from 20 years old. I think I
Right.
was 35. I was 35 when I got sick with fibromyalgia and went on disability. And so soon after that, I found meditation.
Okay. I'm making a little note because I might want to come back to that, but I
Okay.
want to make sure that we get through if you
20
had
years
it.
old.
Yeah, yeah. Yeah, so I know that you took some notes. Is there anything else you would tell your 20-year-old self?
Yes, I would say trust the process
Oh,
because,
okay.
and that's something I always have to remind myself of now too, because I always wanted immediate gratification. And if I couldn't get immediate gratification, I quit. And that is why quit? You know, that if you quit, you have nothing. And I did have nothing because I kept quitting. But I would say trust the process, and that's true for meditation, and that's true for like diet and exercise. It's true for lots of things in life, and that
Yeah.
helps the drama stay away too. I think is if you just trust the process. If you go through all the drama of, oh my gosh, I'm so tired, I can't exercise, I can't, work, I can't do this. That won't help you. That's the way that you sit on the couch. But if you just say, okay, I'm going to trust the process, I'm going to do this even though I don't like it, even though it hurts me, I'm going
Hmm.
to do this because it's good for me. That is a difference. That makes a difference.
When you were in school, did you quit school or did you continue on through college?
I actually transferred to the University of Minnesota
Hmm.
for a year, and then I worked on the student newspaper there for a year and took one or two classes. And then I ended up going back to Illinois because my I didn't have enough credits to transfer to Minnesota. So actually, I took a year off, kind of, but stayed on the student newspaper.
Okay. All right. So you continued on through school.
Yes,
So,
I did.
all right. Um, and then anything like, did you have trust the process? We actually had someone else in another video that I did with Suze, and she said exactly the same thing. And I think trusting the process, it, it's kind of hard if you haven't really done it before. Like
Mm-hmm.
you have to develop the capacity or exercise the mind muscle of trusting the process.
Exactly. That whole trust thing is a mind muscle.
Okay. And
And I think that came for me, came from meditation. That
Okay.
once I learned to focus and concentrate on my breath, and then I was able to do more of that disciplined action.
Trusting the process. Yeah. And part of part of that mind muscle and part of what meditation gives you is being able to stay out of the drama, because there's something that sort of wants, like, it's like, I want the drama. I want the drama. It like kind of starts to suck you in and you feel like you're out of control. And once you start developing that mind muscle, you can get back to your foundation and your center. And it's from there, it's easier to trust the process.
Yes, and finding your center is so important in it, but it takes a while.
Yeah. Yeah.
And you have to trust the process of meditation to get to that, to yourself. Because you're not going to sit down the first time and meditate and find your inner self.
Mm-hmm.
You have to do it for a while and develop that stillness, I think.
Yeah. Yeah. Anything else on your list for your beloved 20-year-old
Yes,
JOANNE
I
self?
just want to say, and this wasn't something that I brought up, but a girlfriend said, and this is really true, that the inner self is where you find your intuition, your inspiration, all those cool mystical things that, you know, are really fun. They make being alone fun. And I think that took a long time to develop too, for me to figure out. But once I did, I really delighted in it. And all the joy, all the joy that's below the surface, kind of, away from the external drama.
That, I'm so glad you mentioned that, because again, in one of the first videos that I did, we talked a lot about trusting your intuition, especially for young women. Young women in the world, we're out doing stuff, going to concerts, going out, we're just active out in the world and making decisions about our lives. And it is important to get in touch with your guidance, your intuition, but it's hard to do unless you are in communication or have built a foundation with your inner self.
Exactly.
Your life. So I see the way everything that you're talking about kind of goes, like, it folds together. The meditation, building a foundation and communication with your inner self, which leads you to your intuition and guidance and joy.
And creativity.
Oh, yes, creativity. Yes, yes, yes. I'm making that note too. There's one other thing I wanted to talk about, because when you had mentioned you started meditating because of your issues with the fibromyalgia. And it's almost like this, again, the parallels, the same thing happened to me. I didn't really start meditating until I was agoraphobic and I couldn't leave the house. And I was like, well, if I'm going to have another kind of life rather than being imprisoned in my house, like you and I kind of have that same thing. You were imprisoned in your house.
Exactly.
And I was imprisoned in my house, different manifestations or reasons why, but I started meditating because I had to save my life. And I would like to talk about how we can start the journey of inner self, intuition, inner stillness, without having to have like a big dramatic thing happen. Like, is that possible?
I think it is. But maybe for a 20-year-old, it goes a different way. Maybe the way they find it is through yoga and doing the movement and then doing shavasana at the end. That's hard for a lot of 20-year-olds. It would have been hard for me.
Yeah.
So you start slow, or you start with shavasana, then maybe you do yin, and you get still during pigeon, stuff like that. and do it slow, so that you do know your inner world and can still be active, because 20-year-olds want to be active.
Yes, of course. I was about to say, of course we do. Like we're 20. Oh my God, that makes me laugh. Of course we do. We feel like we're 20
Yeah.
on the inside. Oh my goodness. I love that advice. Start with some yoga.
Mm-hmm.
Don't force yourself to sit on a meditation cushion and meditate. Start with some yoga and then do 5 minutes of shavasana and just kind of let yourself slowly, what I like to say is let it creep up on you.
Mm-hmm.
Instead of you chasing it or you going, I have to do this meditation, I have to do this. Like, just start off slow, like you said, and let it start to get in you.
Or even just sitting with no noise in silence is hard for a lot of people. And that was hard for me when I was 20, because you want that external stimulation all the time.
Yeah. Yeah.
So even just being in the quiet, in nature even.
Yes. Yes. That was something that we learned when we did practice the artist way. We did practicing the artist way. We learned that our attention span, our ability to pay attention, we had kind of lost our ability to pay attention.
Right.
And sit in the silence, even if it was just for 5 minutes.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Well, JOANNE, that was beautiful.
Good.
Beautiful. Thank you.
That was fun.
Is there any one last little thing that you would want to say to your beloved, darling 20-year-old self or 20-year-old niece or all those beautiful 20-year-olds
Yes.
in college now?
Take your makeup off before you go to bed.
Oh, wait a minute. That was Stevie Nicks' secret, right?
I don't know.
Take your makeup. I mean, she did a lot of cocaine, but she was just like, but I took my makeup off.
I didn't know that, but that's true.
Yes, yes. So on that note of laughter and joy and this feeling of spontaneous friendship, we'll just say goodbye for now.
Okay. Goodbye
Thanks,
for
JOANNE.
now.
Bye.